Have you ever noticed that most people don't actually own their lives? Instead, they own a collection of monthly subscriptions that happen to include a roof over their heads and a car in the driveway. There is a specific threshold in personal finance, a psychological and mathematical line in the sand that separates those who are forever chasing their tails from those who are building actual autonomy. We call it the $20,000 rule. It isn't a get-rich-quick trick. It isn't a hack. It's the exact amount of liquidity required to stop being a victim of your own calendar. Consider a young professional in a city like Chicago, Manchester, or Lyon. You've done everything right. You studied hard. You landed a decent job. And your salary looks impressive on a LinkedIn profile. But the reality on the ground is different. After the taxman takes his cut and the landlord takes theirs, you are left navigating a minefield of mandatory expenses. There is the $500 car payment for a vehicle you need just to get to the job. There is the $200 student loan installment. There's the credit card balance that never quite hits zero, because every time you get closey, the car needs new tires, or the laptop screen cracks. This is the stability illusion. You feel like you are moving forward because you are paying your bills on time. But in reality, you are one bad week away from a crisis. If your company downsizes, or your health falters, your entire lifestyle, the apartment, the car, the social life, evaporates in 30 days. This pressure creates a chronic, low-level anxiety that dictates every decision you make. You can't take a risky on a new career path. You can't negotiate for a higher salary with confidence because you are financially fragile. You are essentially a high-functioning tenant of your own life. The hidden flaw in the modern Western lifestyle is the obsession with cash flow over capital. We have been trained to think in terms of what we can afford per month rather than what we actually possess. When you focus on monthly payments, you ignore the math of interest and the cost of being poor. If you carry a $5,000 balance on a credit card at 20% interest, you aren't just paying for that old vacation or that furniture. You are paying a stressed excess of $1,000 every year just for the privilege of being broke. The $20,000 rule suggests that until you have $20,000 in liquid, boring cash down, you aren't actually investing. You are just surviving. Quite 20,000. Because in most developed economies, that is the escape velocity number. It is roughly 6 months of basic living expenses, plus a buffer for the unexpected. It is the point where your financial life stops being reactive and starts being proactive. The psychological shift that happens when you cross this threshold is profound. When you have $20,000 in a high-yield savings account, the emergencies that used to ruin your month become mere inconveniences. A flat tire isn't a crisis. It's a Saturday morning chore. A corporate restructuring isn't a terrifying life event. It's an opportunity to find a better culture. The math changes from defensive to offensive. You no longer make decisions based on fear. You make them based on logic. Most people make the mistake of jumping into complex investments or high-risk crypto trades before they hit this baseline. They do this because saving $20,000 through sheer discipline is boring. It lacks the dopamine hit of a stock market gain. But without that foundation, your investments are built on sand. If the market dips and you have no cash buffer, you will be forced to sell your assets at a loss just to pay your rent. This is the structural trap. The system waits for you to have a minor life crisis so it can force you to liquidate your future for pennies on the dollar. Financially intelligent individuals treat that first $20,000 as a non-negotiable insurance policy for their freedom. They stop comparing their lifestyle to people who are drowning in debt-funded luxury. They realize that a 3-year-old car and a modest apartment with $20,000 in the bank is a position of much higher status than a brand new BMW parked outside a rented house with a maxed out credit card. They understand that true wealth is the ability to walk away from a toxic situation without checking your bank balance first. When you reach this $20,000 baseline, your relationship time changes. You stop trading your hours for survival. You start trading them for growth. You can afford to wait for the right job offer. You can afford to spend 6 months learning a new skill. The rule isn't about the number itself. It's about me, the leverage that number provides. It is the difference between being a passenger in the economy and being the driver. When you stop managing your life month to month and start managing it year to year, the system loses its power over you. You start to see money not as something to be traded for objects, but as a resource that buys you time and the ability to say no. The math is simple, but the discipline is rare. The rule doesn't promise you a mansion, but it does promise that you will never have to beg for your own survival. It is the price of your own sovereignty. If this perspective on the mechanics of financial autonomy resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel. We focus on the reality of the numbers, not the hype of the market. Thank you for listening.